Hey folks, how y'all doing? Well, yeah, we had another election, and seems like this time Trump won again. He lost the second time. Um, I'd like to talk about their charts first of all, um, and maybe I'll start with hers, Kamala's. Sun and moon in opposition, meaning that she's born in a full moon. Sun in an air sign, Libra, moon in Aries, really very close to the full moon at that time. She had her North Node rising in Gemini, Gemini ascendant, and Jupiter also in Gemini. So this explains, first of all, just that this is a time of prominence for her. I mean, she lost the election, but we can just see with having a Jupiter return this year, and then also with the North Node on the ascendant, this has been pretty good. Now, for him, I just want to look at him. He's also born in the full moon, but he's born right at the eclipse, which is why his sun and moon are conjunct the nodes. Um, and I wonder if this has something to do with him always having, like, some of his biggest opponents have been women. And so the moon being, it was a lunar eclipse at that time, and also his Venus-Saturn conjunction in Cancer might suggest, like, the troubles he's having, like, for instance, sexual assault charges. The Attorney General of New York City, of New York State, successfully bringing charges against him, resulting in over $500 million in debt awarded to the state by him, from him rather. And then also, if we look at the prosecuting attorney in Atlanta, another female. So we see that women are really maybe his biggest opponents. Now, one thing I'm looking at, just kind of briefly, is, well, why did he win? I mean, it just seemed that so many things would be up against him. I mean, scandals, court judgments against him. What was actually behind that? And I think that one thing that really was in his favor, let's say, is that, at least for this time, is that the day before that of the election, he had a lunar return with the moon conjunct Venus. And so that's pretty good. That's a pretty fat aspect. There were other things that throughout, every time I've studied him, I didn't ever study his chart until he ran against Hillary. And first I studied Hillary's chart and I said, oh, wow, looks like she's going to win. You know, I'm not really a Hillaryite person, but, you know, I thought her chances looked good. But then I looked at his chart and I said, oh, damn, he might win. I mean, he's just got a lot of things. He's got the force of energy of his personality, Mars in Leo, with Leo rising. The sun is it's not quite elevated, but it's high up there in the sky, and the sun is his ruling planet. You can't count him out. I mean, he's somebody, even like his coach in some sport he was in high school said that he just had this thing for winning. You know, even though we know that he doesn't really have a certain character for being a true champion, but yet he's able to pull a lot of stuff off. The other thing that I wondered is that until John Kennedy, there were never any Gemini presidents. And this is important because America's natal chart, no matter what chart you use, America's natal chart has Mars and Uranus in Gemini. And these are kind of troublesome planets. They're not really like the moon or Venus, which is cohesive and attracts people. Instead, Mars and Uranus are troublesome. And so I noticed that, well, Kennedy, he didn't make it to a second election. And then if we look at the second Gemini president, George Bush Sr., he also lost the second election. So when Trump was running against Biden, I thought, you know, there's a good chance, looking at the problems that Geminis may have winning elections for president in the United States, that maybe Trump might not get it, you know. So so sure enough, he lost, But this time, you know, he went around and so he beat those odds. But still, it's important to take note of that a Gemini's sun is not always very favorable to the U.S. Presidency. But he was able to do it this time. So one thing that I'm thinking about her is, going back to her, I think that a lot of people are criticizing her about what she did or didn't do. But in my opinion, she did everything that she could do. She went even in the lion's den and appearing at Fox News. She went into different communities. They canvassed on foot. I mean, Pennsylvania, they worked really hard in Michigan. But the thing that they could not beat is two things, really. First of all, the celebrity of Trump. The Trump celebrity was something that in America, celebrity is royalty. It is the aristocracy. We don't have the traditional aristocracies and royalties that other countries have. But one thing we have is celebrity. And look at O.J. Simpson. Including myself, I was blinded by O.J. Simpson. I thought, oh yeah, he didn't do it, blah blah. But you know what? I was blinded by his celebrity, and so celebrity counts for a lot. And so she was up against that, his celebrity. She did not have celebrity, or she was not really a known quantity like he was. I mean, yes, she was in the news, but she was not somebody that carried that kind of influence. And his influence was an alpha male. Now, alpha male, what does that represent? What does that mean? Well, in this case, it means that a lot of men, including black men and men of any color, any stripe, a lot of men and even women do not necessarily think that a woman can run this country. And so if you have somebody who's blustery like Trump is, with, being a Gemini with Sagittarius moon, with the moon trining Mars and fire signs like that, this is somebody very blustery, very loud and very, projects. And really, how do you beat an entertainer? A politician does not have the draw that an entertainer has. And that's what he is. He's an entertainer. He's somebody that knows how to play the game, how to attract attention. And he can, whatever he says, this is what people are going for just because it's entertainment. He can be as ignorant or dumb as he wants to be. But that still does not let people look at, well, there's something wrong with what he's saying. And a good case in point is when they started to tally up, well, okay, like Florida, for instance, they elected Trump this year, but then, or voted for him, but then they also voted, even though they did not get the 60% that they needed to make abortion into the state constitution, but they still, by I think a percentage of like 55% or so, wanted it in that. So, and other issues in other states, the policies that Trump was against or did not support, they were approved. But when it came to Trump, people said no. They like Trump. They like Trump because of his celebrity, because of his personality, because of his loudness, because of all of those things that an entertainer, that a barker has. So this is what I'm looking at. That I'm looking at, well, how do we get the same type of persona, the same type of draw that he got? Now, he said that this is his last time running. Well, truthfully, he knows that he's too old. He doesn't want to do this into his 80s. And he probably also feels that, well, he's set a standard, he's established a movement, and so whoever follows him can pick that up. But still, we got to look at, then what are we going to have? Because we can't have these same politicians, who, even though they might be correct, they might have great form, and Biden did so many things, but he finally was unable this time to run against Trump. He did not have the energy. He was too old for it. And that's why she came along and was able to become the candidate. But I don't think any of the Democrats, like Pelosi has said, well, maybe Biden should have dropped out sooner, and maybe there should have been a more open convention. But I don't think so. I think that no matter who the Democrats ran, they did not have somebody that had that alpha male or could beat that charisma. They definitely had people who were more correct. I mean, who was not more correct than Trump? I mean, anybody from Newsom of California to anybody, any of the governors of Michigan or, but none of them still were going to be able to beat Trump. So I'm looking at, well, then who is there in, let's say, the left who could beat Trump? Or not necessarily Trump, but then who might be the person who could then take the advantage away that the MAGA movement has, which is this kind of male-oriented kind of thing. So I was looking now, there are a lot of other aspects to this election, like why did she lose? But one thing I want to focus on is, well, who do we have that can attract that attention? And so one person I came up with is Oprah Winfrey. Now, one artist that I know, Algernon, great artist. By the way, astrologers, you should check out his view of Jupiter, his visuals on Jupiter, really splendid. But he pointed out, yeah, but she's got some issues with Diddy, that she's, maybe a little bit corrupted or tainted by her associations with him. Even though she's not, like, let's not say that she was a part of the crimes he committed, but just that, she's might be compromised to a certain degree. But I think that what we need is to not think about what is always the right thing, but think about what might be the fight thing. How are we going to win? So let's look at Oprah's chart. And by the way, Algernon, wonderful conversation we had. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at her chart here. Okay, part of fortune is up here at the top. Okay, moon is very close to the 12th house. The one thing I think is really very interesting is her sun and Venus conjunction in 8 degrees Aquarius. Okay, let me see. Let me move some of these other things out of the way here. North Node in the first, along with Chiron. Jupiter. Jupiter is important because she's got a Sagittarius rising, and Jupiter is in the 6th house, and she's also having a Jupiter return at this time. South Node in the 7th. Uranus, which rules all that, or is associated with all that Aquarius down here. And then, let me see, let me move this up here a little bit. Let me see, Neptune. Neptune in Libra in the 10th. What else in the 10th? Saturn in the 10th. Let me see. Mars in the 11th. Pluto in the 8th. And strong Pluto there. Pluto in the 8th. Part of Union in the 9th. Very idealistic associations there with that. And Mercury. Let me see. Where is Mercury? Mercury is also in Aquarius, but in 19 degrees. See, these are all the planets here? Yes, okay. Now, one thing that I look at her chart that I like, regardless of, other associations or what one might think of her, is all this air. I mean, she's got Sun, Venus conjunct in Aquarius, okay, in the same degree, in the 8th degree. And then also she's got her Mercury, which is at 19 degrees Aquarius, and in a grand trine with Jupiter in Gemini, and then also her midheaven at, 17 degrees Libra. So this is the humanism. And I think this is one thing that we might need, is her humanistic quality, which is something different than, let's say, the blustery or the male thing. And it's not even about, like, I'm not just looking at gender here in her chart, as much as I'm looking at the humanism of it, that the air, Uranus in the 7th house, that she has an established connection with people. So this is just a, one idea that I had. But I think the key to her defeat and his, one of the big ones is just the fact that as a woman, she has a steep hill to climb. One thing that I noticed during the, the commentators during the election is they were saying, well, gee, this is getting to look more like 2016, which is when Hillary ran, than 2020 when Biden won. Also, if we go move back to see Obama, and so I'm wondering if just that, there was just too many things against Kamala to win. Not only was her problem about, let's say that she was going against Trump and the established persona that he has, but also that as a woman, she was not able to go beyond a certain threshold, that she did at least as well as Hillary, and in some cases not quite as well as Hillary. Now, I'm not going to be too specific and say, well, maybe it's because as a black woman, she's not going to draw as well as a white woman. That is less the case than just what a woman has to deal with. Let's not forget that America gave the black man the vote before the white woman had the vote. So men have more political advantages and social advantages, or the perception of being a leader, more than a woman might have. So she had that. Now, I have personally, I don't think, I'm not like so much into her that I think, oh, well, like this is the one, but I felt that, well, she would at least be more competent than Trump. And also that she, as a prosecutor, that she's got a certain experience with managing and then also arguing her point of view. Let's not forget that, she had an Aries moon. And that was one thing I was looking at, too, during her debate was, she might do a lot of smiling, but, that Aries moon opposite the sun like that in Libra, she's a fighter. She's just naturally like, oh, yeah, all right, I'll throw this back at you. And that's what she did. She kicked his butt in the debate. So who are some other Aries moon people? Well, AOC. She's also actually a Libra with an Aries moon. Bernie has an Aries moon. Malcolm X had an Aries moon. So you just have this, first of all, it's kind of an alert, restless quality. But also you're a fighter. You got a chip on your shoulder and you're ready to throw down. So I thought, yeah, she could definitely be that person. Now I'm wondering though, with her Saturn up there, let me see, elevated, excuse me while I look at my little notes here somewhere, but her Saturn elevated like that, and her Saturn also in Pisces, and which she had a Saturn return in this time, that could be one possible problem for her, that Saturn could lead to, on the one hand, accomplishment and attainment, but on the other hand, it could also be something that might be, a problem. It might show disappointments. So, but anyway, this is my take on it, and I hope to hear from folks one way or the other. I can always grow and appreciate, what you think. And, I think 2 years is a short time, but in 2 years we have another election. This will be for the Senate and for the House, as well as certain gubernatorial positions. Now, we can say, well, Trump is going to do this and that. They're going to get the army. They're going to blah, blah. He's going to make deals with Putin. But, he's not infallible. He's going to have some cracks. He's going to have some openings to exploit. And how not only arrogant, but how ignorant he can be. He's going to make some mistakes. We're going to watch him and see what's going to go on. See ya.